Hi, I'm Terry Murphy, Senior Editor for Realty Times Women in Business, Women in Real Estate, and In the Men's Room with Murph. And today we have a terrific guest for In the Men's Room. His name is Viral Workman. And Viral is the founder of Workman Success Systems. It's a coaching platform that is amazing on how it sets up systems and strategies for agents to really be successful at their real estate business. And Viral started out selling. I mean, you were selling hot tubs and satellite dishes. You really know how to sell. You're a certified speaking professional with the National Association, the National Speakers Association, and you head up a team of how many coaches that are helping you spread the word that systems are the key to success?
Thanks for having me, Terry. We have about 60 coaches today.
60. Okay, I would have been wrong. I thought we were somewhere around 45, but bless your heart. This is across the United States and Canada, and you have huge affiliations with high influencers like RIS Media National Franchises. Let me ask you a question. You've been a visionary in the whole selling and consulting and coaching vertical for so many years. You started out with Pinnacle Quest Coaching, was basically a phone group coaching. Am I correct?
Yeah, it was kind of a fun time in our business, Terry. And you were a part of that. You've been like my coaching partner since the day I started. And so all these things that I've done over the years, I look back and I think I see Terry's footprint and gentle touch and amazing client care just in all of them. And so, I thank you for being part of that. But when I go back to Pinnacle Quest, I remember the group coaching calls. We started off, we were cutting edge with technology. You could dial in from any phone, land or cell, and you could call right into the coaching call. And we would coach about 100 people at a time. And they would pay around $1,000 for 10 weeks of how to implement your technology. And it was really fun. We found that when people would buy stuff, we were kind of a technology sales company. So we would sell a laptop with Top Producer loaded on it and Dave Beeson's letters and Envision Multimedia. We were teaching paperless presentations in the late 90s. And we would go and we'd teach agents how to implement that. But in the event, they would buy it. And then I'd see them a year later, nobody was using them. And so we said, how do we get them from being motivated to actually taking action and changing behavior? And that's when I really learned the difference between training and coaching. I like to say that with training, you learn something new, but with coaching, you do something new. It incorporates this level of accountability. And it was a lot of fun back in the group coaching days. There were challenges with it, and there were also just tremendous rewards.
Well, you also had an amazing back end, but I think it's interesting to know that long before agents really knew what websites were or technology was, and how something dark gray that you spent a lot of money on was going to help you sell a real estate as something like a laptop, because you were involved in 250,000 website sales?
Yeah, it was 100,000 in 12 months, but it's a big number. And it was back when we would start every event like this, Terry, be like, okay, so how many of you have a computer? How many of you are thinking about getting one? And like half the hands would go up, half would be like, I'm never going to need one of those things. Why would I need a computer? And then it went to, how many of you are thinking about getting a laptop? And so we were talking to people about how the internet was going to change everything, and that if you weren't on the internet, you were going to fall behind. And I had when Homes.com acquired our company, we had a stock incentive that said you had, if you could sell 100,000 agent desktops in a 12-month period, there would be a big bonus for you. And so my partner and we went out there and we went out there and shook trees, and we just talked to people about how to be cutting edge, how to be in the future. And we were able to hit that goal and the stock kicker at the end. And it was a really fun journey. It was fun to have a big goal that was unattainable, and then come up with a process. We called it the critical path to 100,000 desktops. And then we went backwards and just started, knocking down those activities until it happened. And it wasn't really about selling. It was about communicating what was new and helping people with a real solution instead of trying to talk them into it. We just said, look, this is where it is. And if you want to solve the problem, I have a solution for you. And that's how I think, sales has changed over the years. Selling hot tubs at the state fair, nobody went to the fair to buy a hot tub. So there was a lot of selling going on there. And today we just, we serve. And as we serve, the opportunities for sales just kind of present themselves. It's a really interesting dynamic in the way that we communicate our value propositions today. So selling is serving. That's weird.
Well, that brings me to how critical, and one of the top initiatives with helping anybody in an entrepreneurial position, which is what most agents are. They're entrepreneurs, they're selling, they're offering a service to engage buyers and sellers with expertise and systems. but you talk about core values. And that is really one of the distinctions, I think, because coaching, you made the distinction about something that you tell people what to do as opposed to engage them so that they can become their best selves. Talk to us a little bit about core values.
And so core values are, I have weird feelings about core values because some people use core values as a way to show people what they wish they were. Like I build my core values so that I can put them out to the world and tell everybody that I have integrity. To me, core values are the essence of someone's soul. It's the reason we get up in the morning. It's what we are in our quiet moments when we look in the mirror. Our values are the things that are immovable. It's the way that we develop our cultures and our businesses. So when we build real estate teams, for example, we always start with who are you and why do you want to grow? What do you want to accomplish? And once we identify someone's real core why, what happens is the why is achieved by understanding who they are. And when I understand what those values are, then it's much easier to get them to execute on the hard things. But when you don't have principles and you don't have values that drive your decision-making process, then it becomes all about the money. And when people are focused on just the money, then there's no level of success that is fulfilling. And so they look outside to try and find things that make them happy. And like for me, and I know this is true for you, what makes us happy is our families. It's being with the people that we love. It's being a dad and a grandpa and taking a week off and spending it with everybody on the houseboat. I work really hard so that when I'm off, I don't have to check in. I build a team that adheres and believes in those same core values, so we have each other's back, so that when one of my team members wants to go away, everybody else steps in and picks up the slack. And to me, that's what core values are all about. So core values are the essence of why you do what you do. And it's a reminder to everybody on your team that we're in this together and that we're gonna operate in a way where our decisions are made based on our values, not on the money.
That's such a brilliant distinction, because we know at the end of the day, that you start off with real estate hoping you can do 24 transactions a year. And then of course you get there and what's next?
Right.
So it's a great way to have vision for your business. Well, you and I know that there has been training and workshops and seminars and everything for years and years and years on how to sell. And so it's not about selling. What do you think the critical element is for any agent, either starting out or even a hired producer? Why would they even think about hiring a coaching company?
I'll tell you what, for me, and the reason I have a coach is because when you're in the weeds, you can't see what's going on. You can't even see your own business. I listened to my son the other day who runs our sales team, and he used this great example, Terry, and I'll share this with you because it's like nuggets that he got from Don Hudson and Og Mandino and Verl Workman and Cleve Gaddison, all these people that he admires in his life. And he used an example of Everest, and he says, people work for 10 years to prepare to go to Mount Everest. 10 years, they think about it, they train, they put their stuff together, they organize their life for the amount of time they're going to spend there. They spend their whole life, and that just gets them to base camp. And so after the 10 years of prep, he says, they get to base camp and here they are selling their 24 houses a year. And they spent their entire life getting there. And then when they get there, the first thing they do is they identify who's going to be their coach, who's the Sherpa that is going to take them up the route. He says there's multiple, like 17 or 18 different routes to the summit, but 2 routes are more successful than any of the others. So why wouldn't you hire someone that knows which of the 2 is going to work best based on the conditions and has a much higher likelihood of success to get you to the top? And then he said something that like came out of left field for me. And I'm like, all right. And so I'm listening to him as a proud father and listening to him talk to the sales team. He says they spend 10 years getting to base camp. The majority of them don't ever make it to the summit. And he says, when they get to the summit, they spend less than 15 minutes and they don't know what to do once they get there. They spend their whole life preparing for this great climb, and they get to the top and they're like, woohoo. I mean, they haven't prepared for what's going to happen when they reach the summit. What happens in coaching is that we are like the Sherpas at base camp. You could be 10 or 15 years in real estate and you worked really hard to get to this place that you think is pretty amazing. Just the fact that you made it to base camp is pretty exceptional, but the next descent is pretty significant. And that's where a lot of lives are lost. He also talked about when you climb Mount Everest, that more people die on the way down than do on the way up.
Now that's interesting.
Right?
I did not know that.
Right. So I'm listening to my son tell this and a thing. And he says, you know, what we do is we're the Sherpas that get you wherever you are on the mountain. We come in and we can look at where you are. We can assess, do you have the right equipment? Are you climbing the right way? Do you need to acclimate and get oxygen? What are the things that need to happen? We assess it. And then we give you a step-by-step roadmap to help you go to the next level. And then during the process, we prepare you with what it's going to be like when you reach the summit and what we're going to do once we get there. And then we create a strategic plan that helps you exit the business with real value so you don't fall on the way down. And as I listened to what he was talking about, I was like, holy cow, kid. I'm taking notes, and I'm like, you know, I was a proud dad, but really that's why people hire coaches. I don't know very many successful people inside of real estate, outside of real estate, that don't have coaches. They have coaches in their life. When I talk to professional athletes, they'll tell you they have a fitness coach, they have a shooting coach, they have an equipment coach, they have a coach that does rehab and stretching, they have a coach that works on mindset. They have multiple coaches that specialize in certain areas. And we get into real estate, and people are like, oh, I don't need a coach. I know it all. Like that is just so foreign to me. So we don't sell coaching. Like I don't really try and talk anyone into coaching. If somebody is coachable and they're looking outside for a Sherpa that's been up the summit a whole bunch and wants to get there a little faster with a little less effort and know what to do when they get to the top so they can enjoy the view, that's what we do is we look for those people. And then we sit with them, we do a business consultation, and we do a deep needs probe. I want to know who they are and what drives them and what are the gaps or the holes that are in their life and in their business. And then we just coach to those gaps. And by filling the gaps, what happens is they start to look at their own business differently. I don't know, you'll ask me about accountability later, but when they start to look at their business later, they become aware of what's good and bad. And when they become aware of it, they are able to fix it. Most people aren't aware of the holes they have in their business. And that's why you get a coach, because a coach sees it from a different perspective and creates awareness. And that awareness is what creates change.
Well, you know, from writing the 1 Minute Entrepreneur that we know that entrepreneurs work so hard. They are, they're filled with passion and vision, and but working in the business and working on the business are two different competencies. And when you're working on the business, you're often jerked around because you're reactionary, because real estate is a very reactionary business. Somebody calls you and says they want to buy or sell, you're there, which means your focus is fractured. So when you're having someone else help you, a partner of, somebody else that's giving you that accountability, you can't skirt the issue. And just like a diet, if you fall off your diet, well, whatever. Where's the accountability? Talk to us about what your perception is for accountability.
Okay, so just yesterday, Terry, I was on a call with a $20 million producer, and she was a cute young mom, had a 4-year-old little boy. And I'm talking to her about what her day is like. And she says, oh, I am so busy. She says, I get up at 7, I come home and I have a routine. I pick my kid up from daycare. I spend 30 to 45 minutes with him. And then I do real estate the rest of the day. And my heart was sad. I was like, okay. And so I said to her, so why do you want to coach? And she said, well, I really want someone that can help me. I believe that I can do better. And I said, well, how many days a week do you work? She says 7. And I said, I'm not going to coach you unless you only work 6. And you have to tell me today which day you're going to take off every single week that your son is home all day. Because if I help you grow your business and we do it at the expense of your relationship with your son, and he thinks that his mom is someone who pops in from time to time when he gets out of school, then I'll fail you as a coach. And tears welled up in her eyes, and she said, it's not that I want to make more money. I just know that if I don't create some leverage, I can't spend any more time with my son. I said, that's what it's about for me. So now that I know what her real why is that she's working hard and they need the money, and she's doing it at the expense of having any kind of a relationship with a 4-year-old boy. Well, pretty soon he's going to be 14 and he's not going to want to have anything to do with her. But right now he loves her and he's cute and he's all in on the emotional connection that you can have with a parent, and she's vacant. And so accountability means that we create an environment where someone understands what's really important to you and then helps lay out a plan so you can do those important things, and then asks you if you're keeping the promises you made to your son. and to your husband and to your clients, because you can have it all. It's just that when you're with your clients, you got to focus on them. And when you're with your family, you got to shut off the connection to the clients. So just be present where you are. So in coaching, what we'll do with her is, and we started with creating what's called a perfect week, where we laid out, and I asked her to, like, before you even have a next call with her, I said, look, I want you to lay out your perfect week and design it. So if you could have a perfect week, what would it look like? When would you have time with your family? When would you do date night with your husband? When would you have a day off? And she's like, I could never do that. I'm like, well, you'll never do it if you don't lay it out. And she says, well, I don't know if I can do it. And I says, well, hold on a second. Let me check with your son and see if that's what he wants.
Oh, boom.
And so, you know, she was like, that's not fair. And I says, it's not fair either for you to say that you're doing this for your family at the expense of your family. And so someone has to be there to call bullcrap on the conversations you're having with yourself that justifies the activities that aren't giving you the result that you want. The reason we work is because we want a happy life. And so I believe that when she's doing 100 million, she'll be spending more time with her family than today, where she's spending 20, because we're going to methodically help her put systems and processes and delegate activities that should be done by somebody else, because already she's a good agent. And so as we put structure and infrastructure around her, and we constantly remind her through accountability and awareness that the activities she's doing won't get her the results, so she changes them, what'll happen is she'll grow. Her clients will have better experience and a higher level of respect for her. And most important of all, she will be a great mom. And her son will look at her as someone who's present in his life, not someone who's stopping by.
So to quote you, accountability is really love. When you can help someone get where they want to go because they've told you where they want to go. It's not about more money. It's about creating the life by design, not by default. Would that be accurate?
That's very accurate. And money is a measuring stick. So we like to have an improvement of our financial situation, and we want to wealth build. I mean, when I take a single mom with 2 kids from 250,000 to 3 million in gross closed income, and at 3 million, she's no longer working with buyers and sellers and building wealth. I get my joy and satisfaction watching the dynamics of someone who didn't even believe it was possible now change everything. And now there's nothing she believes is impossible. So, you know, I get my greatest satisfaction by helping people see things differently. Accountability is love, like you said, Terry, but it's really, accountability is awareness. It's being clear on where you are and what's happening. And then if I can get you to change the behavior because you can now see it, I don't need to beat you over the head with accountability. There's a lot of coaches out there that think accountability is browbeating. You know, if you don't do this, then here's the penalty. And, I have to babysit you and you have to turn it all in. The reason we track things like daily success habits and we do a perfect week, and the reason we have a lead tracker and a transaction tracker isn't so I can beat you up for not doing something. It's so we can celebrate the wins and we can look together and make you aware, clearly aware, of whether or not your activities will get you the results that you want. And if you see it, then you have the choice to be able to make a change or not. I can't make you do something you don't want to do. Accountability is a myth. I can't make you do anything. I mean, have you looked in the mirror, Terry? You're intimidating. If I tried to make you do something, you would scare me.
Oh, all 5 feet of me. Thank you for that.
You'd be like, you talking to me? Hey, you talking to me?
Well, you know what, Virl, on a personal level, even with your success, you've been a staunch, high integrity with putting your family first. Date night with Colleen, your wife of many years, who's a rock star in her own right. 6 children.
Yes.
How many grandchildren?
We're at 9, 7 granddaughters, 2 grandsons.
Bless those little boys. Yeah. So my point is that it does work and it is possible. And I think that's one of the best parts about having an outside accountability partner to help you get where you want to go, because it's so easy to get sidetracked. And as we close this, if I was a broker owner or I was a team leader or I was brand new at real estate who might be considering coaching, what would you say?
Well, first of all, I would say that everybody needs a coach, whether you use me or somebody else. There's a lot of great coaches out there. You have to find someone who connects with you from a values perspective and that has the skills to take you from where you are to where you want to go. So first of all, look at someone who's aligned with you from a value perspective. Second of all, everybody needs a coach. If you don't have one, I love your thinking about it. And so the next thing is to do a coaching consultation, sit down with one of our consultants where they'll just ask you questions, and then you can ask them questions. And as you ask each other questions, it'll become really clear whether or not there's a fit. And if there's a fit, just go for it. Brokers and owners, I'll say that, if you create a coaching culture within your office, that your agents will perform at a higher level. The cool thing about having a coaching partner is that as a broker owner, you walk this fine line, Terry, of, holding people accountable and then ticking them off so they leave. And so as a broker owner trying to coach your own people, it's really hard to do that. And the other thing is they don't want to pay for it. And I've learned that if they don't have skin in the game, if they're not investing in themselves, then the relationship between the coach and the client is strained at best. And there's no real accountability. Like when someone spends $1,000 a month, let's say, or $2,000 or whatever the number is for coaching, I mean, it better work. Right? But if you're getting coaching for free and it doesn't work, well, you didn't lose anything because you didn't pay anything. So pay for it. Find someone who aligns with you and values, set up a coaching consultation, reach out to Workman and say, hey, look, let's just sit down. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss where you are, where you want to go. And then we'll see if we're a fit. If we're a fit, then we'll lay out a program. The other thing I'll tell you, which I think most people won't really tell you, and that is that growing your business and doubling is hard. And you have to do the work. And you can have the best coach in the world, but if you don't make a commitment to do the work, then it doesn't matter how much you spend on coaching, it doesn't work. So you have to do the work. You have to be willing to do the work. So, and I also tell people it takes 2 years. And so make a commitment that's long enough so you can get change. In the first year of coaching, Terry, and you know this as a master coach, that the first year is all about looking at things differently. And then you start to implement. And then the second year is when the magic happens. And a lot of people quit. And they emotionally just can't take it anymore. And if they'll just stick to it, if they'll just acclimate a little while before they make the next climb, what'll happen is their ability to breathe will be better. They'll have clarity. The view will be amazing, and they'll be able to go to that next place. But you've got to execute year one, and then the results happen year two. And during that second year, what I've learned in all my years of coaching is that if I have a client for 2 years, I usually have them for 10, meaning that once they have the success and they start seeing things differently, our turnover is hardly any. I mean, people just stay with us a long time, but you got to get past that first year. So do a consult, reach out to someone, and talk to several companies. Like, find out who resonates with you. And if you're thinking about teams, or you're a broker owner that wants to build a team and you want to have a team culture, then, well, we just do that better than anybody else.
You absolutely do. So tell people, what's the best way to reach you?
So you can reach me personally. Anytime you want to reach out to me, you can send an email to verl@workmansuccess.com. That's VERL @workmansuccess.com. Or you can reach out to our sales team by just doing sales@workmansuccess.com, and one of our business consultants will reach out to you, set that up, and we'd love to have a conversation with you. And we're not always a fit, but I'll tell you what, it's fun to go through the process to determine whether or not we are.
That's so true. So, Verl, I hope you'll join us again sometime here at Realty Times Women in Business, Women in Real Estate, and in the men's room with Murph, because this is an ongoing thing as the consumer needs change, as the consumer drives the experience. We need wisdom from now 60 people all over the country and Canada that can bring collective intelligence and experiential information to Workman Success. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you'll join us again soon.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, Terry.